The Shang Dynasty, circa 1600 to 1046 BCE, centered on Anyang Yin structured power as a ritual archive. Decisions on war, harvests, and divination were inscribed in the oracle bone script, Jiega Wen, while ritual bronzes, Ding cauldrons, Gu cups, legitimized hierarchy and the ancestral cult. Tang is remembered as the founder who justified the overthrow of Xia. Wu Ding symbolizes the military-diplomatic apex with its networks of vassals. Disin/King Zhao later acquired a reputation for tyranny and moral decay. The decisive historical contribution was threefold: standardized metallurgy, court administration, and functional writing as an instrument of government, the tools that allowed later dynasties to standardize laws, weights, and routes. The Shang dynasty handed down a state that knew how to record, tax, and wage war on the basis of written evidence.
If this is making sense to you, subscribe now and comment what you think. That tells me to keep going, and it makes sure you get the next ones without missing them.
The Qin dynasty, 221 to 206 BCE, capital Shanyang, transformed the mosaic of kingdoms into an imperial system. Qin Shi Huang gained fame as a harsh standardizer. He unified script, weights and measures, and axle gauge, implemented a network of roads and canals, and integrated defensive sections that foreshadowed the Great Wall. Qin Shi succeeded him with weakness and a rapid collapse. Its historical contribution was to establish the administrative mold, legalism as doctrine, registries, seals, and replicable archives, state logistics at scale. Even brief, the Qin dynasty left a template that all later ones adopted, a continuous territory governed by common standards. This later allowed harshness to be traded for Confucian consensus without losing efficiency. The terracotta army guards the first emperor's mausoleum with thousands of life-size warriors, and studies show non-repeated physiognomies, a sign of serialized production with individualization, a unique technical and artistic achievement of the ancient world.
The Han Dynasty, 206 BCE to 220 CE, capitals Chang'an and Luoyang, grafted the Qin template onto a Confucian bureaucracy. Gaozu Liu Bang became famous for his founding pragmatism, Wen and Jing for stable frugality, Han Wuli for expansion and the effective opening of the Silk Road routes, Guangfu for restoration in the Eastern Han phase. It contributed by creating early examinations, Keiju, refining administrative law, calibrating astronomy and the calendar, the Taichu reform, and spreading the use of paper, associated with Cailun 105 CE, as a cheap medium for the imperial archive. The Han Dynasty consolidated the meritocratic state, turned China into a transcontinental hub for horses, silk, metals, and ideas, and fixed Han as the majority cultural identity. The Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907, capital Chang'an, projected a cosmopolitan empire. Taizong Li Shimin became famous as an exemplary warrior ruler, Wu Zetian as the only reigning empress, and Xuanzong for the cultural apex followed by the trauma of the An Lushan rebellion. Its historical contribution combined codified law and openness. The Tang Code, Tang Lu Suyi, became a regional legal reference. Woodblock printing massified texts, the imperial examinations matured, and Buddhism and diplomacy connected China to Eurasian routes. The Tang Dynasty turned China into an urban hub of goods and ideas, with an administration capable of supporting enormous cities. During this period, the foreign districts of Chang'an hosted embassies, markets, and communities from dozens of peoples. The city functioned like an airport of antiquity, where languages from Central Asia to the Indian subcontinent could be heard. The Song Dynasty, 960 to 1279, Kaifeng, Hangzhou, turned workshop, port, and banking into engines of state power. Taizu is remembered for professionalizing officials.
Shenzong for reforms, Wang and Shi, and Huizong for artistic patronage. Its historical contribution was the infrastructure of knowledge and credit, mass printing, woodblock printing plus Bising's movable type around 1040, the systematized maritime compass, from Shen Ku's observations, gunpowder applied to military tactics, and paper money, Zhaozi and Huizi. Iron production and the use of coal reached pre-industrial levels. Private finance and publishing houses created a true text economy. Territorial losses in the north to Liu and Jin shifted the fiscal base to southern maritime trade. The Song dynasty bequeathed a socio-technical toolkit that the world emulated: cheap text, useful magnetism, practical explosives, and circulating credit. The Yuan dynasty, 1271 to 1368, Dadu, Beijing, stitched together China and Eurasia under the Pax Mongolica. Kublai Khan is famous as the integrator who established the capital and a multi-ethnic structure. Toghan Temür marks the decline. Its historical contribution was connectivity at scale, relay post stations, yam, protection of routes, improved cartography with Persian and Chinese specialists, expansion of paper money, chao, and cultural circulation through Zhazhu theater. The Yuan dynasty consolidated China as a continental node of knowledge, people, and currencies, extending the reach of Song innovations. Climatic and fiscal crises and rural-based revolts eroded the regime, but the transit and mapping infrastructure remained as a reference.
The Ming Dynasty, 1368 to 1644, materialized the state in stone, paper, and porcelain. Hongwu, or Zhu Yuanzhong, became famous for austerity and centralization, Yongle, or Zhu Di, for moving the capital to Beijing, building the Forbidden City, sponsoring the Yongle Encyclopedia and Zheng He's fleets, Wanli for a long reign and bureaucratic tension. This dynasty is famous for the brick or stone Great Wall, the porcelain industry of Jingdezhen as a major export, the strengthening of the examinations, and its insertion into the global circulation of silver, which reshaped taxation and prices. The Ming dynasty fixed material symbols and a visible administration with an initial maritime projection. The secret of porcelain obsessed Europe until Meissen, 18th century, replicated the technique, inaugurating European hard-paced porcelain. The Qing dynasty, 1644 to 1912, peak territorial extent, capital Beijing, managed plurality at scale. The triad of rulers, the Hai Qing, is famous for expansion, compendia such as the Siku Quanshu and stability. Cixi marked the regency in times of crisis. The Qing dynasty is known for multi-ethnic governance with the banner system, the incorporation of Xinjiang, Tibet, and Mongolia, border management, and a massive high culture. In the 19th century, the Opium Wars, unequal treaties, and rebellions forced reforms. In 1905, the classical examination system was abolished, signaling a profound institutional shift. The Qing dynasty pushed the imperial model to its limits and prepared the transition to the modern state, vast territory, administration of diversity, and the urgent need for institutional technologies compatible with an industrial world.